I am Queendela. I'm studying banking and finance at Central University, my final year. I'm currently the Vice President of Banking and Finance Students Association, where we run BAFSA labs, where we help banking and finance students with tutoring. I'm currently at Pronto Hostel, and I look forward to having a nice time with you here. So we have some banking aspects. Obviously, we cannot go more into investment banking because we are just supposed to get an overview of banking and an overview of finance. So you have to top up on that, and that's what I've been doing. But as a human being, as somebody who sees herself 5 years from now, I see myself as an investment banker, not as a commercial banker, or as I see myself as somebody who is creating change in the Ghana Stock Exchange, who is working with stock exchanges with the capital markets of Ghana and other African countries and other nations as well. So I would not say that banking and finance is a dying or a surviving industry per se. There are more things to banking, and especially when you say banking and finance, and then you go on to say that banks are dying, so the course is becoming irrelevant. Yes, banks are dying, but there's more that goes into banking and finance. I'm not saying that it's not true. That is true. Banks are collapsing and everything, but there's more that goes into the course banking and finance. It doesn't have to do with only banking. I can count the number of banking courses I did. It's basically all the courses I did are more focused on finance, corporate finance, investment management, business finance, microfinance. They are all finance courses as compared to elements of banking. They were just bits and pieces of banking. So I wouldn't say that even right now sitting here I am a banking expert. I would probably say I'm more of a finance person than a banking person. So that's what I think about that.
I love that.
Yeah, because
you should become a lawyer as well, maybe.
People keep saying
you just don't limit your dreams because you see banks collapsing. You look beyond.
And one thing I would advise my mates in banking and finance coming up, especially in Central University, is to look into other fields. Look into data science and engineering. Look into most especially investment banking. It's a whole new field altogether. It has a lot of things going into it. We have trading, we have compliance coming up, global compliance coming up, which is into regulation of the capital markets. We have so many regulations coming up as at now, especially in the EU markets. You can look into all those things and try to see the way that we can bring those things into our African markets as well. So,
I heard something like financial engineering too.
Yes, that fintech. We have financial technology. There are a lot of things you can do in finance. So the future is really bright for finance, basically.
The new development of cryptocurrency and all these things.
I really look forward to probably learning some things from developed countries and coming back to make sure that I effect that change in Ghana. There's a lot to learn. There's a lot we can do. So, I see a really big future for Ghana's capital markets, especially.
But how would you do that? Can I ask a question? Can I answer that?
First of all, let me correct you here. Ghana's capital market is a frontier market. It is developing. It's not that far behind. It is behind, but it is known to be a developing. Africa's capital market, especially, it is not the least. Africa's capital market is not the least at all. So, and right now, that's how Africa is. We take things from developed countries and we implement them. It's not like we are doing anything different. We might need to catch up harder, but
how would you deal with that?
That's why we need more people in the field.
More knowledgeable
we don't
people.
have enough investment banking experts. How many banking and finance students want to go into investment banking? How many investment banks do we have in Ghana? How many mergers and acquisitions? How many IPOs do we have in Ghana? We don't have enough.
Yeah.
But
and if you take my class, let's just take my class and ask them how many people want to go into investment banking.
None.
Somebody will even ask you what is investment banking.
All will want to go to the banks.
Yes. Everybody is thinking about working in a bank, being a teller, being a bank manager, and the commercial banks are collapsing. So why don't you channel your ideas, your skills into something that is developing, something that has a better future, where we need more people to grow.
They have reviewed that there's a conference that they're doing now that they're saying that Cuba should spend one currency. Would you agree with that?
it has worked for European
countries,
but I don't know how. In Ghana, in Africa, in general, we have different perceptions. We have different ways of going about things. So I wouldn't say we should just be adopting things without researching and trying to tailor them to fit the way that we think. You can't just say that because we have the EU having one currency, which is the euro, and they are excelling with it. There's the single market and everything is fine for them. They have their issues in the single market as well, and they are trying to deal with it. But we tend to adopt things that we just pick them up. We don't tailor them to fit our needs. So if we want to have one currency, then I would suggest that we look into ways that will fit our
markets and all that.
We don't just go and take and say that, oh, the EU is doing this way, so we too, we are going to do it the same way. We have to make sure that we tailor things to fit our needs, to fit the way that we operate. So if that is done, I think it can work. But as at now, I would advise we wait on it and then work on ourselves individually as countries, and try to bring something on the table, because the EU wasn't just formed because they were just there and decided that, oh, let's just come together. They brought things to the table. There were
in international business.
We did it in international finance as well. There were certain criteria you were supposed to meet. They were supposed to have the same interest rates. They were supposed to have certain things across board. Right now, you have somebody's inflation rate at one figure somewhere, another somewhere. Even between Ghana and Nigeria, figures are not the same. So how can we come together when we don't have things set properly? So let's work on ourselves individually before we come together as Africa.
I also have something to say. If it worked for the European Union, why would you think England will want a way out now too?
Well, England's case is different. They have always been, and they want their freedom now. That's another issue. Africans tend to want independence after they enter into something. Look at our regions, the 16 regions thing. Everybody wants to be independent. So we have to think about that as well. Are you going to enter into a contract, a union, and then in the end come and say that you are not getting enough benefits out of it and you now want to be independent? You now want to make your own laws. If we come together, we won't be making individual laws. You'll be making laws as a collective, and it's affecting everyone. Do you want that? Do you want free movement across board? We need to think about all these things before we decide that we want to be together. Do you really want to be tied to someone? It's like a marriage. That's why we call Brexit a divorce. Do you want to be married to other African countries? Does South Africa want to be married to us? Yes. So we have to think about all these things before we go into a relationship like that.
How funny how
such a long road.